I did my project on homelessness in Canada. Many people think of being homeless as living on the street. The reality is that only 0.02% of homeless people live on the street. In any given year, around 235,000 people experience homelessness. Of this, 180,000 live in emergency shelters. 50,000 are housed by nonprofit organizations, and only about 5,000 are living on the street. People who house hop with friends and family are considered hidden homeless. There are many causes of homelessness, but some of the most common are poverty, unemployment, shortage of affordable housing, relationship and family breakdown, family violence, addictions, discrimination, mental health issues, and physical health problems. Here are some at-risk groups for homelessness. Adults between 25 and 49 make up 52% of all homelessness in Canada. 47.5% of homeless people are single men between the ages of 25 and 55. 28.2% of homeless youth are part of the LGBTQ+ community. 27.3% are women, and many homeless women are hidden homeless because they would rather stay in dangerous situations like domestic violence than go to the shelter system or to the streets. Most women become homeless due to domestic violence or poverty from lower wages. Women are also more likely to be single parents. 30 to 35% of homeless people struggle with mental illness, and 20 to 25% struggle with both mental illness and addiction. 18.7% are youth between 13 and 24. 40.1% of homeless people say they experienced homelessness before the age of 16. And while seniors don't make up a large part of homeless population, their shelter use has been going up steadily in the past 10 years. 28 to 34% of homeless are Indigenous, even though the Indigenous population only makes up 4.3% of Canada's total population. That means that Indigenous are about 8 times more likely to become homeless than non-Indigenous people. Many of them are still feeling the impacts of residential schools, and many also live in extreme poverty. The map below shows the provinces with the most people staying in homeless shelters in 2016. Ontario and Alberta are the provinces with the highest homelessness rates. In 2019, Toronto's homeless population rose to 8,700 on the streets. In 2018, Ottawa's rose to 8,000 on the streets. In Alberta, Calgary and Edmonton have the highest homelessness rate. In 2018, there were 2,911 homeless people on the streets in Calgary, and an additional 1,871 in Edmonton. There are a bunch of people trying to help people in need in Canada. These are just a few strategies that have been put in place. The first one is called Reaching Home, Canada's homelessness strategy. This program was put in place by the Canadian federal government. Each year they invest $351 million into housing for homeless people. These are put into place to help homeless people who struggle with mental illness and chronic homelessness. They also make more shelter space during the winter months. And during this time, they have shuttle vans that go around the cities to try and find people who need help. There are quite a few nonprofit organizations trying to help with the issue too. They help to make emergency shelters for midterm or long-term housing. There are different shelters targeted towards different groups. So like men, women, families, Indigenous, youth, etc. Some shelters offer food, clothing, laundry, and other services for people staying in them. Some even offer counseling and legal help. Many also put in place restrictions on drugs and alcohol. There are also some communities in Canada that have taken it upon themselves to help homeless people. They have come together to make social housing for people in need in the area that they live. So then I just had some of the discussion questions. So the first one was, what do you think of when you picture homeless people? So we were all talking about how the stereotypical homeless person is on the streets begging for money, and you would kind of associate them with drugs and alcohol and stuff. So then the next question was, what are some reasons that people might not want to help the homeless people they see on the streets? And that might just be because they think that the people on the streets are just going to use that money for drugs or alcohol. Which leads to the next question, which do stereotypes of homeless people affect them recovering from it? So, because they aren't getting help from people who can give help to them, a lot of them might not recover. And also, they were talking about how self-image is very important too. So, if other people see homeless people as not worth a lot, they're going to start thinking that too, which could also affect them recovering from their homelessness situation. The next question was, why do you think some people might choose to stay on the streets rather than go to a homeless shelter? So we were talking a lot about how some people might just be very prideful and not want to go seek help for themselves. They want to just do it themselves. Also, the fact that there are restrictions on drugs and alcohol could keep people away if there's like addictions involved. And one that a lot of people don't think about is that many homeless shelters aren't available in rural areas, just in cities. So people who are homeless in the middle of a countryside aren't really going to have access to one. And then the last questions were, what would you do if you found yourself in a position where you had no place to live, and how would you try to recover? So we talked a lot about how we would go to a shelter if we absolutely had to, and that we would just try and make sure that our mental health was good, because it's difficult to recover from that especially. And then we also said how as long as we just tried our best to recover, tried looking for a job or someone that could help, that's probably what we would do. Yeah, I think that's about it.